Okay, I'm a little out of breath. My heart is racing. I just got done doing some potato trenches. And trenches are very difficult here because of the sand content. And also, if I go down too low, this has some color to it, some, soil type qualities, not much. But if I go down any further, I am going to hit that yellow pure sand. So I don't want to go down too deep. So they're loosened, lightly weeded. I'm going to, just not fuss too much. And in spite of a long-standing grower's advice on not adding any type of manure to a potato patch because it caused a little scaling of the skin, I did. I had my amendments already mixed up, and it had some really well composted cow manure and chicken droppings and the red wiggler castings mixed in with the kelp and the gypsum and my other top picks, the alfalfa and that stuff. So I went ahead and I sprinkled that in there. And if you remember me saying that the potato patch was over there, frost came and it, everything died back. And then I have so much going on, I totally blanked on it. So I ran the tiller through it. At first I thought I was hitting rocks, and then it hit me. It was the potato patch. So I have cubed potatoes over there. I don't really expect a good outcome from the patch, but we shall see. So that was cubed potatoes to start intentionally, and then the cubed potatoes because of the mistake of running a tiller through there. And how poor Bella's already suffering. We're in the 80s today, and she's trying to get down into that dirt. But anyway, here I have a bag of potato skins. One of my very adamant and enthusiastic viewers is like, don't plant the potato. Just eat the potato and take off the eyes and plant those. And I said, well, they said they have a really good outcome with just as much production this way than cubing the potato. So I'm going to give that a try. And hopefully I'll get to see, what happens or hear what happens because, I am friends with the owners of the property and do plan on keeping in touch after I leave. Okay, so the last video was shot very, very quickly. And you guys know, right? Planting the potatoes, that's pretty straightforward. And as, you put it in there and space it, have really loose soil, and then cover it. And when it sprouts, you can keep on covering. And the more you cover it, the more potatoes it'll yield. All right, there you go. They wanted to know the size on some of my plants, and I'll do a quick run through. And the parsley is an average size parsley. It's bushy, and it gets about 10 inches tall before it bolts. And I would say I have about a good 8 inches on those walking onions that the camera's pointed to right now. We'll go out back. The peas are just barely an inch up. They're probably even closer to a half, 3/4 inch. And the lettuce is all different sizes, and of course the dinosaur kale and the Romanesco broccoli up front is quite substantial. So those plants could get 4 feet tall easily, and the growth on the tobacco was just, I'm going to say 4 inches, 3.5, 4 inches. This little kohlrabi plant, see there it is, the size of my hand. It might stand, 5 inches. And the cilantro over here, it's probably about 5.5, 6 inches. There are new shoots coming out on the blackberries. Now, some people call these wild raspberries. We've always just called them blackberries. And where am I? is it in there? Yeah, I'm having a hard time seeing exactly what's in the viewfinder with the bright sunlight. These are the wild variety that I brought in from the best patch when I was harvesting last year. And after the harvest, we had a really hot season. And then come fall, I went in and I transplanted these. Now I have just learned that these green leaves are edible because, I told you when I had gone down to do the Eat the Weeds Green Dean field trip that I was going to really learn about the wild edibles and concentrate on medicinal plants. And this is one of my top picks, to always have this in the garden. It is so incredibly versatile. This is the lemon balm. It's in the mint family. And a mint family, you could tell by the square stems. And it is a prolific spreader, both spreading out, sending out, its root system, but also by seed. It just takes over and could get very, very tall. I've seen on my one property up in Pennsylvania, it get 3.5 feet tall in just huge bushes of it. But anyway, getting into its properties, it's supposedly, I've read, the strongest natural antidepressant on the planet, which could explain a little bit about my attitude going through so much stuff, because I consume large quantities of this. I eat it fresh. It goes great in everything, chicken, pasta, fish. I make teas with it, both cold infusion teas and hot, and it's just wonderful. Has a great aroma, just very lemony and perfect. And then you get it probably has lots of other medicinal properties. So here we go. There is the onion, and we're looking at about 7 inches on the onions and probably about 5 on those leeks that are in that bed, very tiny little leeks. There's more of the Egyptian walking onions, and that's well over a foot right there. Tiny little endive, doing well. All right, I really don't think I have anything else going on. The spinach may get thinned later today, closer to sundown. Potatoes, that'll be done in just a second here. It won't take me long to put in all of those skins with the eyes sprouted. Let's take a walk up front and I'll show you all of the basil volunteers. And they're pretty easy to identify. They don't really start to get their true, fresh, pungent aroma till they get a few more leaves on them. But I've been growing them for so long, it's pretty easy to spot. And I suspect, yes, let's take a look at that. The lychee tomato is just going to come right back. So I'm glad I didn't deal with this spiny critter and pull it out and just let it be, because this is all new growth. The dogs with the planters, so I'm going to have to clean and organize. But this is gorgeous new growth here. And here's another of the tobacco. But this isn't the Sensations mixed color. I want to say that this is the lime green that I had planted late in the season. And lo and behold, every single one of them is here. This is the last year's plant dying back. And this is the new tobacco leaf growth. It handles the heat very, very well. Of course, the tobacco has been grown all over the South. But I was extremely surprised. I found out the first year that I grew, it's called Fragrant Delight in Shirazi, that they made it through the winter. They overwintered nicely. I didn't suspect that all of the varieties would be doing it. So, okay, another thing up here is the Florence fennel. The size on that is, we're looking at a foot tall. And they get the nice bulbs down at the base. And I've talked last year about this, is that this is a butterfly attractor. black swallowtail butterfly is in love with this plant. It comes and it lays its larvae on there. The larvae eat, but then they disappear. So you don't get to see the chrysalis and the eruption of the butterfly, but you are helping that species. And if you're not familiar with the black swallowtail, they're just gorgeous. You know, Google it, check out their pictures in the images online. Always delightful to see them in the garden. And here's the overwintered Guianura procumbens. This is said to control diabetes and have a lot of other medicinal properties. And I believe it comes from Asia. So he's springing back very nicely. But check this out. These are the second-year apple trees right here. And there's quite a few of them in here, and they need to be thinned. And all of those little sprouts, green sprouts in there, are all basil. The one property, I had over 500 basil. It could get out of hand when you let it go to seed. But being that I love it so much, I don't mind. And the bees absolutely adore it. The borage and the basil is a really great companion plant for strawberries and tomatoes and bringing in those pollinators. And people don't realize that once you have those pollinators there, they don't stray very far. And a lot of times gardeners will plant the wildflowers and flowers as breaks in the garden to ensure that their pollinators are going to stay in their garden, and then they don't have to worry so much about bagging and cross-pollination and all of that. So the Ampias bell pepper took quite a hit. I started to ignore it, and the grow light hadn't been on it a lot. But it's, you know, the stems are lovely green, and there is, you know, new growth on the very tips. So I expect this to be bearing the fruit very early. Now, the Ampias is a thin-walled pepper, and it's preferred by chefs for stir-frying. Got a great flavor. It's not like those big bell peppers. It's a tiny little, very wrinkly pepper. Great flavor. And here's very straggly basil. This is my fresh basil from the, you know, overwintered. And it made it through, and now when it starts to push seed, I'll pinch it and it'll get bushy and it'll fill out nicely. So a continuous supply of basil is tops on my list too. And here we have lots of lettuce bolting, and I'm going to go through today the garden and take most of the lettuce out, wash it up, and I roll it, shake it out really well to get a lot of the excess moisture off, and I roll it in paper towel. Then I put it in a cloth, a clean kitchen cloth, and then I put it in a plastic bag, and that helps preserve the lettuce the best. You don't have to worry so much about it rotting and, you know, and that type of thing. I'm going to have to sow more of the golden peppers, the Italian peppers. This was 6 in this pot, and I'm only seeing 3. And this isn't from my seed stock. This is the original seed stock. So if in another day or two more of those peppers don't show up, I'm going to be a little disappointed with that germination rate, and grow some more, sprout some more. All right, I'm out of here. As always, lots of stuff to do and beauty to take in. So I wish you all well, and thanks for watching, and I hope the camera work was a lot better. I'm trying to slow myself down today. Love you guys. Take care. Arrivederci.